class, welcome to another video, and this time I'm going to talk about logarithmic functions. Now, you don't have to understand this in detail. Maybe some of you are familiar with this, some of you have not even heard of logarithmic functions. So I will just introduce you to the basics, and later on in another video, I'm going to show you some examples on how we use it in some application problems. But basically, a logarithmic expression is just the inverse of an exponential expression. So for example, I have x equals b to the y, right? And I want to write that in logarithmic form. Then that's just y equals, so we read this as log of x to the base b. So notice how the y now is on the left side, and then you have the log of x to the base b, right? So, for example, write the following in exponential form. If I have, let's say, log of 8 to the base 2 is equal to 3, then in exponential form, that's equivalent to 2 to the power 3 is equal to 8. All right, so the base is 2, right? And then if you raise it to 3, that will give you 8. Or another example would be log of 36 to the base 6 is equal to 2. That's equivalent in exponential form to 6 to the power 2 is equal to 36. Right, which makes sense because 6 times 6 is equal to 36. Now, we also have what we call a common logarithm. And in a common logarithm, universally, it's known that the base is equal to 10. So if I have, let's say, x is equal to 10 to the y, right? So we write it as y equals log x. Now, technically, there's supposed a 10 in your base, but we don't need to write it because universally, it's known that if there's no base, it's automatically equal to 10. And we also have what we call the natural logarithm, which is what we will use in our class. So in a natural logarithm, your base is the natural number e. So if you have x equals e to the y, that just becomes y equals ln of x. Now, technically, we will write that as y equals log of x to the base e, right? But again, universally, it's known that if you write ln of x, then that means your base is the letter e. And in fact, you will see that also in your TI calculator. And I'm going to show you how to use it later on. All right, so one more time. If you have y equals b to the power x, right, that's equivalent to saying log of y to the base b is equal to x, right? But if your base is equal to 10, there's no need to put the 10. You simply write it as log of y equals x. And finally, if your base is equal to e, your natural number, then you simply write it as ln of y is equal to x. All right, so I know it looks confusing, but with some practice, hopefully you will understand how it goes. But let's have some examples. So what is the log of 81 to the base 3, right? So this letter x, what is the value of x? If I were to write that in exponential form, that's equivalent to 3 to the power x is equal to 81. So basically what this question is asking is, how many times do we have to multiply 3 with itself to get 81? And if you have your calculator, you would do 3 times 3 times 3 until you get to an answer of 81. And if you do it correctly, right, your letter x is equal to 4, right? If you multiply 3 4 times, you will get 4. You will get 81. So another example is, what is the log of 100,000, right? So suppose we call it letter x. Now you might ask, hey, the base is missing, but we said in the previous slide that if the base is missing, automatic that's equal to 10, right? So basically you're asking yourself, how many times do I multiply 10 with itself in order to get 100,000? So again, you can simulate, right? So 10 times 10 times 10 until you get to 100,000, right? So if you do it correctly, that's actually 5, right? And you can put it in your calculator, 10 caret 5, right? And it should be 100,000. In our class, we will mostly use what we call natural logarithm, which is the ln function. So suppose what is the ln of 100, right? And basically that's asking, e to the x equals 100. In other words, how many times do I multiply e with itself to get 100? The good news is, this is automatic in your calculator. All you have to do is to type ln of 100, and in a TI-84, that is your ln, right? So if you're using a higher version, you are going to look for the ln button, right, which is this one right here. And if you do it correctly, the ln of 100 is 4.60517 and so on, right? So please try it and hopefully you get the same answer.